That's 11 months later.
That's...
August of 96 to July of 97.
Okay.
That's 11 months later.
Correct.
That's when you said you would have them for her.
Exactly.
And you didn't.
I told her in January that I had not received the material yet. I was having major problems with the wood, that it was going to take longer. She asked me for a date, and I could not give her one.
Well, then why didn't you give her money back?
She didn't ask for it. She just said, get them done as soon as you can.
Excuse me, I did.
What did you say?
My mother's my business partner had not contacted Mr. Pageant in November, requesting the money back because I had come into some financial situations where I needed the money. So she had asked him to replace the money. I also
did somebody call and ask you for the money back in November?
Her mother asked me for the money back. I confronted Peggy. I said, Peggy, is this true? Do you want the money back? And Peggy says, no, don't pay any attention to my mother. I do not want the money back. I want the cues. Get them done as soon as you can. Those were her exact words.
No.
What was the next conversation that you had with him after your mother had the conversation with him and asked for the money back?
I told him that, yes, I was entering some financial situations, that I did need the money back. He said that he'd already invested in the materials and therefore couldn't give me the money back. Then I said I needed the cues as soon as possible as we were entering the Christmas season, and my hope was to sell them then.
Well, that's not so far off. He said, I've already invested in some material money, and you said, well, if you've already done that, as long as you get me the cues before Christmas, then fine. And what did he say?
Well, in November I was told I'd have them in the first or second week in December. In December I was told I would have them in January. In January I was told I'd have them in February because I wanted to go to a trade show. They never were produced. I tried to at least get 3 cues because there were supposed to be 10. That never materialized. My bi-weekly phone calls were reduced to weekly, monthly, and then bi-monthly. My store manager, Ken Haggerty, was witness to the date of completion that Mr. Pageant had stated to me, and that was October.
Step up. Tell me your name, sir.
Ken Haggerty.
Were you there when they made this contract?
I was.
And what do you recall was said?
To the best of my recollection, what we talked about, because I was part of the conversation, was what was going to be in the cues, approximately how much they would be worth, and when we would possibly get some of them. Hopefully, we asked to have at least 1 cue because we planned on a whole advertisement around this particular anniversary cue, and we were hoping to get at least 1 to take a photograph of to put in magazines.
What did he say about delivery, if you remember? Make sure if you...
To the best of my recollection, it was going to be by October, and then it became November, and then it became December, and it just progressed. And I spoke to him personally a couple of times asking, when can we get our cues? And I continually got excuses why we couldn't get them, and that was it.
Now, sir, to date, you do not have any pool cues to give them. Is that right?
I stopped production on them when I was served papers by her attorney. And that was September 17th, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you say, I'm having trouble with material, I can't get the material, you can either wait or I'll give you your money back? Did you say that to her?
No, the money was spent. I have receipts for over $5,000 worth of material that was sent out.
Just a minute, that's not a problem. You made an agreement with this lady to make pool cues for her within a reasonable period of time. According to you, that was, according to the book, 3 to 8 months. And 8 months after she gave you $6,000, she still had zippo, nothing. So you breached the contract. You got to give her back the money. My limit is $5,000 here. Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Woo!
Party got excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy.
Worst moment, but he could limit the fallout if my suspicions were true early. Monday, I took my samples to Western New Mexico University and spoke with the head of the science department. They agreed to help, and I offered a 10% discount on car purchases to anyone who worked with the samples. He appreciated the offer and mentioned I'm thinking of swapping my Camry for a newer car. I may stop by to see your selection. If you don't find anything you like, let me know. and I'll help you find something, I said. Thanks, I will, he replied. I drove away from the university with a concerned smile. The results could end my marriage. When I mentioned buying new cars to Jenna, I hid my worry. I decided it wasn't a bad idea and called Paul, my accountant and loan officer, into my office. We're going to make it work, he said. Paul, the first also want to pay off my mortgage. Can we arrange a lump sum payment? I'll review the financials and get back to you this afternoon, he replied. As Paul was leaving my office, I considered calling my lawyer for a family attorney referral, but I decided to wait for the DNA results first, since I hadn't found any evidence of an affair yet. In the afternoon, Paul showed me the spreadsheet and we discussed the next steps for both my plans. The next 2 days felt like the longest ever, waiting for the DNA test results. Late Wednesday night, the department head called and came over with the results and to check out a car. When he arrived, I directed him to my office. His expression told me the results before he spoke. The two samples are unrelated, he confirmed, though I expected it. The news still shocked me. He handed me the envelope with the results. So, what kind of car were you thinking of? I asked. I just turned 50 and want a sports car like a Mazda Miata, he replied. I don't have one, but I'll be at the auction tomorrow and we'll try to find one in good condition. I'll call you this afternoon, I assured him. As he left, I told Anna, my secretary and office manager, that I'd be leaving early but would be reachable by phone. She rarely needed me, so I knew she could handle things. I drove around town seeing everything differently. I called my lawyer, who referred me to a family lawyer. I made an appointment for the next evening at a restaurant. I wondered if IID wasted the last 15 years. I still considered carrying my child, but biologically she wasn't. I knew I couldn't ignore what I had learned. George, my best friend, and Jenna would both pay. I wondered if Jenna knew Carrie wasn't mine. She had kept the secret of her wedding day affair with George from me. Now I believed she'd been seeing him at least twice a month. Anger built up, and I needed to be alone. I called Jenna to say I wouldn't be home that night. Hey, Kurt, she answered. Hey, I'm staying in Albuquerque tonight to be ready for the auction at 8 o'clock, I said emotionlessly. Okay, have a safe trip, she replied. I don't usually go to Albuquerque for auctions, so this was unusual. I wondered if Jenna would take advantage of my absence. She'd have to explain Carr's absence to my parents, which would be hard. Throughout the evening, I'd check her phone tracker to see if she went somewhere else. I drove DR to Albuquerque, planning to buy at least 20 cars, including a Mazda Miata, and arranged for their transport back to my lot. I needed to find someone trustworthy for mechanical inspections, since George wouldn't be getting any more work from me. He would see dollar signs if he knew about the car purchases, but I planned to keep it a secret until the last minute. I talked to local dealers at the auction to find a reliable inspector. I arrived in Albuquerque around 9 a.m. and got a room at the Best Western Hotel. Even though I owned the company, I couldn't justify the expense of a fancy hotel. The room and bed were comfortable, meeting my simple needs. I checked Jenna's cell phone and saw it was still at home. That night I had trouble sleeping, replaying everything in my mind. Why had she done it? How could she justify having sex with him on our wedding day and twice a month for years? I began to reevaluate our marriage, realizing it had never been perfect. I had deluded myself into thinking we only loved each other the first few years. After we got married were tough. We didn't expect a child right away and planned to wait 3 or 4 years before starting a family. We had agreed on having 3 children, but cars. Difficult pregnancy changed everything. When I found out my best friend was responsible, all our struggles felt pointless. 14 years of effort wasted. Despite the good times, this news overshadowed everything, making me wonder if Jenna's affair with George had been going on throughout our marriage. If she hadn't been with him, maybe her pregnancy wouldn't have been so difficult, and she might have wanted more children. George ruined my life by sleeping with my wife on our wedding day, and now he continues to see her twice a month, probably laughing at my ignorance. He would have to pay. I turned on the TV to a comedy show to calm down, and by 11 o'clock I was ready to sleep. The auction went great. I got some excellent cars at good prices and met dealers from around Albuquerque. I didn't see any Miatas at the auction, so I asked other dealers. 2 had them, 1 red and 1 black. They agreed to make a deal once I knew which color my customer preferred. Sure, they said, just let us know what cars you have in the lot and we'll work it out. I realized I needed to attend auctions more often. Networking with other professionals in my field inspired me to expand my business and took my mind off my problems. After lunch, I met with my attorney, and the news was grim. I would lose half of everything and have to pay child support and alimony, even though the child wasn't mine. That's when I decided against divorce. Instead, I'd leave her with George's baby, pay the mortgage, and keep the house in my name so she couldn't sell it. By continuing to pay taxes and utilities, she wouldn't be able to take the house. I also needed to protect my business. It was a corporation, but I knew I needed to consult my business lawyer to safeguard it. When I got home exhausted, I told Jenna I'm tired. I'm going to take a shower and go to bed. Would you like some dinner? She asked. No, I had a late lunch, I replied. At least she thought to ask. The shower was rejuvenating, washing away my stress. I felt I was on the path to solving my problems and fell asleep quickly. After a week of stress, having a plan allowed my mind to rest. I woke up early, refreshed, and went to the office before Jenna and Carrie woke up. I had tasks to tackle and plans to execute. As employees arrived, I immersed myself in spreadsheets, financial reports, and sales projections. I informed Paul about purchasing 23 cars in our upcoming deal with a dealer in Albuquerque. I instructed Anna not to assign George any more work and to keep it confidential. She looked puzzled, but say to the boss, "Thank you, Anna, you're irreplaceable." At 9 o'clock, I called my business attorney for advice. Your business is incorporated, but she might still force you to sell it for half its value. Have you considered selling it beforehand? He asked. No, is that necessary? It would keep the business out of her hands. He explained, this business is my life. I can't get rid of it. I replied, okay, I'll think about it and do some research. I'll call you at the end of the week. The news was devastating. I had poured my heart into building my business. It was my baby. Unlike Carrie, I thought anger surged again, but as a good